properties. Because even though, just like we found out in Applewood, people told us we saw 6 that were destroyed. People over there say there was 11 that were destroyed. Well, the backs that we couldn't see, they were deemed that it's non-livable. So we got to go back out. So that's stuff that we're telling them. The sheriff's office may say residential properties. The homes are standing, but they may not list that their outbuildings and their garages are gone. So we will drive and make sure of all of that.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions?
Thank you, Frank.
We appreciate you being here. And I think the best thing we can do is just, you know, I know you have your sheet that you're passing out at the DAC, and maybe just, you know, make that available on our website through our social media channels. We can work with Mr. Mestis to get that done. But as much
That this morning.
Okay. You're the man, sir. Thank you very much. What else? I wanted to talk about the DAC. I know yesterday we ran into some snags as far as getting the reentry cards printed in a timely manner. We do anticipate up to 8 or 10 new printing machines arriving today. The clerk, Candace Rivera, has been very gracious to offer herself and her staff. So they've been over there this morning kind of reorganizing how folks move through the DAC, how they get registered as soon as they show up. So we're anticipating much smoother processes, maybe not immediately, but we're working on it. And we do anticipate a lot better service going forward. So thank you for your patience there. I would also ask for your grace and your patience if you come into motor vehicle today, because like I mentioned, the clerk has sent a good swath of her motor vehicle staff that works in the courthouse over to the DAC to assist with the efficiency. Our drive-through location up on Lake is still fully functional and available. We do have staff here that will get you through motor vehicle, but I just wanted to ask for some grace and some patience as you work through that today. And then last but not least, you know, there's so much to say about this fire, but I think I would just want to say how proud I am to be from Pueblo, to see the community step up, organizations, individuals. I wanted to give a shout out on the 4th of July. You know, of course, there were a few fireworks here and there, but overall, it was much, much closer to zero than I've ever seen it in this community. So thank you for people. That shows that we care about our neighbors, right? We don't have an active fire in Pueblo, but Beulah, Colorado City, those are our friends, those are our family. And I think that show of, you know, just the lack of fireworks was just a real show of solidarity. So I'm really proud of the community. Thank you to everybody. Again, I go to sleep at night just thinking about how grateful I am for all of our partner organizations, all of the folks that have flooded into our community from around the country to help with this. It's been amazing. It's been eye-opening. It's taught us a lot about what our role is as a government in a situation like this. Again, you never think that you're going to go through something like this as a leader and a community and a government that's responsible for dealing with this, but it has just been amazing. And I want to be clear, we are not out of the woods yet. You know, a lot of our friends and family are dealing with devastating loss. And I just want to reiterate that we will be there for you. We will continue to show up as a community. And I just genuinely appreciate everybody that's answered the phone and said yes immediately and said, called me, how can I help? It's amazing to see. And I just can't say enough how proud I am to be from Pueblo, Colorado.
Well said, Commissioner. There's a lot to be said about the effort of the county and what I've seen this last week, even with my own family, my parents being evacuated, experiencing that as a citizen, but also as a family member, and the time that I've spent, you know, visiting the shelter and who's there and why they're there and just the needs of people, and to realize, as you said, we're the government, we're here to help in these times of crisis, but we cannot do it by ourselves. We've had so many others come alongside to help us. Nonprofits and just regular citizens have been so gracious. I just want to say thank you to our community. I know there will be a time for a debrief and to look at where the failures are, but now is not that time. Right now, we're busy helping to restore people back to what they can go back to. I personally know fire mitigation's been part of our emphasis since I've been on this board, and we've done a lot of work. Amanda Hobson, who's really been helping with the evacuation center. We've written grants. We've been in Beulah. We've been working with the fire chiefs. This has not been off our radar. I blame, if there is a finger to blame, I blame the fact that we don't maintain our forests properly. And without going in and cleaning up timber that's been laying there for years, this is another problem we have. So we need to work with our federal partners and our legislators to have them understand maintaining our forests, if you don't maintain them properly, you put everybody's lives at risk. And that's one takeaway for me, is that I will continue to talk about how tragedy can happen when we don't maintain our forests. It's a policy over 10 years, and this is the result of it. And unfortunately, it's devastated a lot of homes, but not a lot of lives. And if I could say one thing I'm proud of, we have a sheriff's department and a sheriff who is a leader that has saved many, many, many lives, many lives. That's not a failure to me, that's a success. When you're talking about the numbers of people affected and animals and just all of the things. I will say about our staff, and I'm so impressed with all of them, our public works, Greg George and his team, they have been fighting this fire with all of our equipment for the last week. Amanda Hobson and Abe with Parks and Rec, setting up in an instant a place where people can go and have a place to stay. The cart team that is out at the state fair with all kinds of animals and livestock. And if you visited any of those places, you see how overwhelming that could be if we didn't have a team set up for each. And it's been overwhelming. I've been in the EOC when I've seen the stress on each one of those folks because they don't have enough help or they don't have enough resources, and we work it out. And yesterday when I visited the DAC at 2 o'clock, and it was in the middle of the crush of people, and I'm walking up and I'm seeing our volunteers who were there to help so stressed out because it isn't going well. And I'm walking into a situation knowing we're there to help and we're doing the best we can. We're doing the best we can. And so I spent some time talking to the folks that were there, and many of them were understanding and they were gracious, and they had been waiting 3 or 4 hours, but you know what? They were grateful. And then there was few that were upset, and I understood that. I understand that. I know from my own experience with my mom and dad, who I urged to go do that earlier, and they did, thankfully. Last week got their card, but everybody's living on the emotion and the anxiety of what is now and wanting help, and we're doing the best we can. And in a moment of crisis, you go to your friends. And as I stood at that line and I watched the line and I watched the frustration, I picked up my phone and I called the clerk. And I told her, you know about customer service. We need you down here. Can you come? And within a half an hour, she brought her team and they assessed the way things are being handled. And I'm very confident moving forward, we will have a very orderly, less time-consuming way for people to get their cards. And so in those moments, you do have to reach out to those you know that have the talent and the ability. And I also want to thank my fellow commissioners. Each one of you has done unique things that many in our community have not seen or know about. Behind the scenes, the phone calls, the organization that you've both done. And as a team, we've worked together on it. And I think you can tell I'm a little hoarse in my voice. I've been on the phone nonstop talking to people because that's our job. Working with our federal partners, working with our local agencies, working with our nonprofit. We've all been doing that work. But I will tell you, the next time they need a Sam's Club run, one of you will do it, not me.
Yeah.
I had to do that the day before the 4th of July, and it was crazy. But we're a board that will do whatever it takes for our staff and for our community. And I'm proud to say I don't have any apologies for any of the work that we have done, because we have all been working this fire the angles we can with the contacts we have and going to the EOC every day and trying to get updates and communicating. That's the job. And I will say, yes, we'll have time to look back and go, what could we have done better? And we will. We'll be more prepared. Hopefully this never happens to us again. But when it comes to emergency management, we're getting a crash course in a very short period of time, what it takes to coordinate state, federal, and local partners in an emergency that frankly has gone national. And I hope this is the last one for our board, because we've been through a couple already. I don't want to go through any more. So having said that, this is a week of watching this fire, supporting our sheriff's office and our folks and residents that are needing to get back home. But please be mindful, any of you that have left and are going home, it is a pre-evac. It doesn't mean you're out of the woods. Have your bag ready to go in the event this fire shifts. That's the message today. We are doing what we can to get you home, but please be cognizant. This is a fire that's unpredictable. Last but not least, thank you to all of our citizens, both in Pueblo and in Pueblo County. I don't look at this as a Pueblo County problem. It's a city, Pueblo County, all of us residents issue. And all of you have stepped up, and our city partners have all stepped up to help us. And we want to say thank you as a county that you in the city recognize the need that many residents might live in Pueblo and have a home in Rye or a home in Beulah. It's a combination. So thank you to our city leaders for helping us. And we look forward to the next month or two developing a recovery system and frankly, years of recovery. And Frank, I want to say thank you to you, especially for being at the DAC yesterday when you were there with the assessor's office. I saw so many people asking him questions, and he's very cognizant of the need for people to know those details. So we've had many of our electeds involved at the DAC, and I want to say thank you for that. And today will be a better day. And I plan to go there and check it out for myself and be there to help as much as I can. Moving forward, again, thank you to this board and thank you to all of our county staff, clerk and recorder's office, everybody that has helped us. We cannot do this work without you, and we are a team. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Well said by both of you. And yeah, I would just express my gratitude to both of you. You know, it's been a struggle, and as I said last week, and what I tell everybody is we're here to support you. We are in this supportive role for you. Yeah, you looked a little frazzled when you got back from Sam's.
It's a zoo.
Which, yeah, and yeah, maybe I need a new phone because it's dying at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon now from being on it so much, but there are multiple partners in this, and quite frankly, I have been thoroughly impressed from the local response. Seeing everybody over at the DAC, I mean, we have all kinds of representatives over there, being out at, why am I drawing a blank off Taos?
Evacuation center.
Yeah, just, I mean, it's unbelievable to see this community rally the way that it has. I mean, it's not surprising. And in fact, I told somebody on Friday, that one of the centers, they said, I'm surprised at all of this outpouring from the community. And I was like, I'm not, but it is so encouraging to see just the amount of support that we have given to everybody. We do need to be there in weeks too, because this is not over this week. And situations like this, they continue to happen, and that outpouring of support is here now. And we need to, as leaders, consistently remind everyone that this situation is not over for the people who have been impacted. This continues to go on. And to your point, Frank, yeah, I mean, I hesitate on even seeing houses and structures saved as you go up there, because you don't know. You don't know if that is a habitable home anymore because of smoke damage or anything else. So again, this is a very long-term problem, that we all need to remind ourselves of. There are so many people to thank. I mean, we would be here all day thanking everybody, but again, to your point of people behind the scenes, I mean, even our building department and us being able to waive now the asbestos requirement on cleanup, that's a 6 weeks savings. We're trying to waive fees where we can on demo fees, but everybody's starting to work, not starting, but have been working hand in hand to get this thing as best as possible. We talked to a lot of people yesterday and in the past couple days about the future cleanup. I talked to the guy who runs the dump yesterday. We are going to need tons of roll-off dumpsters up there. We're going to need to, I mean, and Arnold has a plan on something with a burrito and everything else, but just to try and expedite ourselves as much as possible, because we're not out of the woods yet, but we need to start prepping for when we cross over to now, you know, rehabilitating the affected areas. There was a guy, I have to give him a shout out personally, because I talked to Abe and he got off the phone with this guy and he was like, man, this guy's infectious with his positive attitude, but his name's Jonathan Overton, and he started the Beulah Recovery Network on Facebook. And I mean, he is infectious with his positive attitude. And I mean, he spoke with me I think on Friday, and late Friday, trying to get something for kids out at the evacuation center, and just like some bounce houses and a little water bounce house and stuff, just for some semblance of a celebration of the 4th of July. And I mean, Abe was out there mowing on Friday night, and everybody just, immediately got it done. Again, the local response here has been unbelievable. And like you said, there are multiple partners in this. Talked to the congressman a few times. He is standing by, willing to support in any way that he possibly can as well. And yeah, I mean, just you see city folks in the EOC every time you go over there. There's representation from all of our local people to the highest degree, and it is encouraging to see that. I think the last thing that I'll say real quick is just, again, with the donations, we have so many out there, and I talked to Shanna yesterday. If we can start to shift the donations from, I mean, we have pallets and pallets of water and Gatorade and clothing and food and everything. But to shift, if people do want to donate, to shift to cash to the Wildlife Disaster Fund. And we have links to all of these things on our social media because it's a lot easier, or even gift cards, but cash is preferable. But it's a lot easier to store a stack of gift cards than it is pallets and pallets of water. So if anybody is looking to continue to help, please just get on our social medias and look there. But that is a shift that I think we're trying to lean towards is more of cash than actual donations, because then we can turn around and use that in better ways. And there's going to be a lot of trips to a lot of home improvement places and everything else like that coming down the pike. So again,
Commissioner, to be clear, we're suggesting that all of those cash donations go through the United Way.
correct.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
wanted to be clear with folks.
Yeah, yeah, and that's I think she said it's the wildlife disaster. Did you share that post yesterday?
I
Yeah,
think we've shared it
Yeah.
a couple times. Yeah.
so yeah, there should be some pretty clear instructions there, but yeah, that's the route that we want to go, because thankfully we are being inundated with goods. And I mean, it's pretty cool even to see like little kids get their little shopping carts out there and kind of go through and shop, if you will. So again, just thank you to everybody. Yeah, I don't know if it's the time to critique ourselves and or partnering agencies. I think that there's always lessons learned, and I've had to kind of back myself off of that sometimes and realize the phase that we are in, and it is assisting and getting ourselves out of this as much as possible, and then we can debrief and look for those lessons learned and how to implement those things. So just again, thank you to everybody that has participated in this. It's very, very encouraging. So thank
Well
you all.
said, Commissioner. One note, Anthony just gave me the clerk and recorder's office in Pueblo West will be closed today to assist at the DAC. So if you're looking for services in Pueblo West, they're not going to be open today because we've shifted, and they will be down at the DAC, which is the old Pitts Middle School, helping us.
Yeah, thank you for saying Pitts. Shanna and I were joking about acronyms and like.
Nobody remembers Pitts, but we do.
It's Pitts, yeah.
Pitts Pony. I wanted to mention one more thing. Are we not gaveling in for a work session today? Is that correct? I saw nothing for exec, so I just want to make sure. I have one operational thing that I think we can cover right now.
Okay.
And it relates to our employees. This board has given direction to our directors that we want to be as flexible as possible in this moment with any employees that have been affected by this. If you're, we know of several employees who have lost homes, his family have lost homes, and we want to let you know that we want you to be there. Work is not the number one priority right now. We want you to be with your families. To that end, directors have the discretion right now to grant kind of emergency leave. However, I have asked our Chief HR Officer, Trish Turner, who's in the room right now, to draft an emergency leave policy. Trish, do you mind speaking to that a little bit, kind of like the high level details of what that might look like? And the point of that is just so that we have something written down, a policy written down for this situation and hopefully not future situations, but we have a consistent policy across departments that folks can reference should employees need emergency leave.
So there's an abundance of federal and state laws that had to be researched in their entirety yesterday in order to create this policy to ensure that we were not just abiding by all of them, but also to see if there wasn't any subsets or anything else that could be utilized. Unfortunately, there really isn't anything that covers this type of disaster. in terms of leave for these specific needs. So the policy basically states, if I had to summarize it quickly, that employees would be asked to utilize whatever leave they have in their banks first, and then would be subsequently afforded up to 6 weeks time through a series of different criteria that they would have to meet. Some of the criteria would be that they were either in an evacuation zone or they had evidentiary proof that they had suffered, in fact, from this national disaster. In that aspect, the first 10 days of requested leave, should they have the time off, they would use that. If they didn't, a director level county employee could afford that employee that first 10 days. Anything after 10 days and up to 6 weeks would come through the HR office to sit and try to determine what actual needs they have, and then utilize what leaves that are available to them appropriately.
I appreciate you putting that together. I don't know how you guys feel about exhausting all other types of leave prior to being eligible for the emergency leave. In my mind, the emergency leave would come first so that, should somebody get sick later in the year, they're not out of sick leave because of a disaster. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Correct my understanding. That is the law that we have to follow, though, is that they follow the leave, right? Is that what I'm understanding, that they need to exhaust whatever leave is available before other leave can be?
That would be an internal policy. Different types of leave are governed, in fact, by different laws, but we would have to create our own policy if we wanted to offer something in addition to that. The use of whatever leave they have in their bank could also, because we are basically affording them that leave. The only one that I would have any question about is Colorado does request that we offer up to 48 hours of sick leave. The rest of it is up to us as an employer over 50. So I hope I'm making sense of what you're asking me. It would really be a county decision.
It would be a county decision, meaning the law does not explicitly state that an employee must exhaust sick and vacation leave
No,
prior
there
to being
is-
granted.
Correct.
So would you guys be comfortable with maybe some amount of emergency leave first and then
Dipping
into other types of leave?
Yeah, I would be okay with that, with the review and approval, I guess, of HR to determine what criteria must be met for that, or whatever we're saying is an emergency.
The draft that Miles is referring to is the first 10 days could be
Okay.
automatically done at the director level. Anything beyond a 10-day request would come through the Human Resources Department.
So 2 weeks of leave that wouldn't affect their sick or annual leave.
And that would be a
And-
rewrite to the draft that he's referring to.
Yes, ma'am. So I like that idea because it's an emergency, right? So we're automatically granting this emergency leave. You're not having to dip into your vacation and sick, and then it can be discretionary after that point. But the automatic granting of some amount of emergency leave, I think is appropriate prior to having to exhaust, because we don't want somebody to not be able to, again, take sick days or
Right.
have a vacation later in the year because they had to exhaust their leave because of an emergency. That's kind of the point
Right.
of this, is to,
Yeah.
to plan.
On another end of that, financially, giving 2 weeks of leave, that pays coming. So I guess I'm looking at it too, is on the financial side. Do we have a leave donation ability in the county? Do you know that folks can donate so many hours of their own leave towards something like this, an emergency? Could we have something set up where people could donate 4 or 5 hours to someone who does have a need that doesn't have the leave?
We do have something like that in place. The concern was employee A makes more than employee B.
Okay,
And so it wouldn't necessarily be seen immediately as more than just a productivity loss, but when that employee leaves the county, then you would start seeing possibly a financial situation because you've donated less time in terms of dollars on the hour to an employee that perhaps made more. That variance would be seen after
okay.
employees started to leave the organization.
But Trish, my understanding is that some form of a sick bank does exist.
Yes.
And that that pay discrepancy consideration is not really part of the process today.
It is not.
Um,
It's just a concern I wanted to make sure you were aware of.
Yeah.
and I appreciate you flagging it. I think if we can get the emergency leave in place and then maybe continue the conversation about what the sick bank looks like, because we have a process for it. I know it's utilized right now. I know it matters, but I'm not as concerned about the discrepancy in pay. If we can decide that, it is a 1-for-1 exchange of a sick day, regardless of where you're at,
Right.
pay grade, I think that could be a really good system as well. And I think people will step up. So do you mind, ma'am, is it the desire of the board to redraft the emergency leave policy to grant the 10 days prior to having to exhaust any other types of leave? And then it's discretionary after that?
Yep,
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
Okay.
would all of you be okay with the criteria in the way that the employee would have to show that they are in need of this type of leave in that section, the eligibility for the emergency leave?
Right. Yeah. I
In my
think so.
review of it, I thought it was sufficient.
Okay. So we're just updating the first section of the 10-day.
Right.
Okay.
Did you have?
That'd be great to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you step up to the mic, Nick. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioners. And this is nothing against our CHRO. No, she's been drinking from a fire hose over the past 2 months. So the way the sick leave donation policy and program works now is that employees have to qualify to be able to receive such hours. But to Trish's point, she's right. Employee A could make more or less than employee B. But the hours are only used for specific situations. It's not like somebody can donate 100 hours to me. They go in my bank and I can use them as I need. It's only for specific reasons. So if someone needs 10 hours to make their paycheck whole, it's just those 10 hours. And then it's essentially, it's not a bank that people can take withdrawals from. It's from one employee to another employee for a specific reason, only the number of hours they need. And it's not just to push 200 hours to somebody, 200 hours to somebody else.
So it doesn't go into a general bank.
Correct.
It goes to a specific person.
Correct.
And how does somebody in need of extra time make the request?
So as of now, we have the sick leave donation form on our SharePoint site.
Mhm.
So employees can download that. They can read the criteria as to what they need to be able to qualify for that. Historically, we've done it for FMLA, paid parental leave, things like that. But in this case, I think we can agree that this is a necessary need. And then if they, again, I think we need to discuss this a bit further because the way that the sick leave donation reads is that an employee has to exhaust all of their balances before they can then receive donated hours. So we may need to amend this a little bit given the special circumstance, but essentially they would request the hours and they would say, out of a 168-hour pay period, I'm able to do 150 hours with my own, so I need 18 hours donated. And then their peers donate the remaining hours needed to make them whole for that pay period.
Yeah, so that amendment needs to happen to make it so they would not have to exhaust all of their leave prior to receiving any of the donated leave, right? That's not a big,
And I don't even know if an amendment is the right route or if it just be a new policy and program. We just say we're going to piggyback off the current policy for this purpose for the Aspen Acres fire. And this is how we're going to handle it. That way the sick leave donation policy can stand as is. This is just a temporary Band-Aid fix.
yeah, that makes sense.
It's fine.
Yeah, that
Yep.
makes sense.
So we're good? We're
Yep.
on the same page? All right. Thank you for working on
Thank
that.
you.
Thanks for the info.
Just ran down real quick.
Thank you. Ran down here, huh? Cool. Again, thank you, everybody. And not out of the woods, but pretty proud of how everybody is working together and
Better than a week ago, for sure.
yeah,
Vibes have shifted for sure. A little bit of light at the end of the tunnel.
that's right.
We'll keep working.
That's right. Thank you all. Our next meeting will be July 9th. I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, we are adjourned.